Generational cycles of abuse, whether it's emotional, verbal, physical, is usually because in order to manifest, we have to be equal or congruent to the things that we want in life. If we want higher level things in life, we have to. Happy Manifesting Monday! This week we're going to discuss how we block ourselves from manifesting the things we want and how to remove those blocks. Okay, y'all, so we're still on the basics of manifesting. Last week we discussed the atom, how it's the basic building block of the human body and the entire universe. Just to review, we talked about the electron cloud and how 98% of our universe is energy. Another way to look at it is to consider the most famous equation in the world, E equals mc squared. E stands for, in the equation, E stands for energy, M stands for mass, and C stands for the speed of light. To make it simple, the equation says that energy equals mass and that they're different forms of the same thing. Before Einstein, scientists believed that matter is neither created or destroyed. Einstein proved that matter can be destroyed and that it's actually energy that is neither created or nor destroyed. Matter can be destroyed and turned into energy. If you think about it, our bodies are matter. And what happens once the matter is destroyed? What happens once we die? The energy remains. Now let's talk about vibration and frequency. Vibration and frequency is how our energy is felt in the world. Over the last 8 to 10 years, there have been many studies done in order to measure vibration and frequency. Scientists at MIT developed the EQ radio that measures emotion. Many years ago, the span vibrational chart was created to show the different levels of human emotion. Let's take a quick look at the span vibrational energy chart. Okay, so if you look at the chart, it has over a dozen types of human emotion. At the very lowest level of human emotion, they're indicated in red, and a couple of things that include those types of lower level emotion are guilt and shame. A higher level of human emotion is usually anything 500 or greater. So at the beginning of that higher level, we can see love. So looking at this chart, we can start to think about the ways that we block ourselves from manifesting. In order to manifest, we have to be equal or congruent to the things that we want in life. So if we want higher level things in life, we have to raise our vibration to that level. In order to raise our vibration to that level, we have to release the lower level things in life. So right about anger and below are pretty much the lower level human emotion. If you think about it, there's one thing that we can do to release these lower levels of human emotion. So now we come back to our original statement. How are we blocking ourselves from manifesting the things that we want in life? If we are able to forgive, this actually will release all of these levels of human emotion. So forgiveness means that we either need to forgive ourselves or others. If you notice, the lowest levels of human emotion are guilt and shame. And those are burdens that we put on ourselves. Others can make us feel guilty, but it's upon us to accept that guilt and feel shameful about it. On the higher end of the lower levels of emotion, there's anger, and usually we experience anger for the most part at others. So what holds people in the cycle of repeating the same cycles of anger, fear, and shame over and over again? We say things to ourselves like, I can't believe that they did this to me. I would never do anyone like that. We play over and over in our minds things that people have done wrong to us and repeat it over and over. Some people make it their entire life story. They repeat over and over again wrongs that other people have done to them. My mother and father did this to me. My ex-husband did this to me. My baby's father did this to me. My baby's mother did this to me. My family member did this to me. And they repeat those stories over and over again. So what's the first step in forgiving others? Everyone is different and everyone will have their own way of getting to the point of forgiveness. For me and others that I've spoken with, the easiest way to forgive some type of wrong that was done to you, especially if it was in childhood, is to realize that if that person knew better, they would have done better. Whether it's father, mother, grandfather, sibling, if that person knew better, they would have done better. Most people that repeat cycles, generational cycles of bad behavior, generational cycles of abuse, whether it's emotional, verbal, physical abuse, is usually because that is what was done to them and they're repeating the same cycle. They never broke out of it in adulthood. A lot of us who are born, especially Generation X and after, we've come to Earth to break those generational cycles. So I know that the worse the abuse, the harder it is to even fathom the concept of forgiving somebody who did that to you, especially as a child. But by holding on to that anger, by holding on to that resentment, you're really not hurting the other person, you're hurting yourself. You're repeating the same cycle within your body. All of that resentment and anger is held within you, and you really are hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself, and a lot of people experience the hurt through disease, conditions, whether it's physical or mental, cancers. And it's a hard thing to do. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But if you can at least show the willingness, let's look at the vibrational chart again. At least fathom the concept of willingness. Look how high that is on the vibrational scale. I've known people who've taken it upon themselves to forgive loved ones for the abuse that they suffered in childhood. Not only did they break the cycle within themselves and free themselves, it transcended generationally. And in order to forgive, you may not necessarily, especially if you're at the beginning of your journey, you may not necessarily need to have a conversation with that person. You can do something as simple as write a letter. Get out all of the things that they did to you that hurt you. And at the end of the letter put, I release you. Whether they're dead or alive, it doesn't matter. That energy is still there. Even if they're long gone, the energy of what they did to you is still there, so that still needs to be released. If that doesn't convince you to at least start thinking about forgiving the people who have wronged you in your life, let's look at the Lord's Prayer. So I think many of us know the Lord's Prayer by heart. We had to learn it as children. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. All of the Lord's Prayer. Now, if you pay attention to the Lord's Prayer, almost all of the Lord's Prayer saying how great the Lord is. Thank you for all you have done for me. Thank you for your divine protection, all of that. There is only one line that asks for us as human beings to do anything in the Lord's Prayer. And it says, forgive us our trespasses. That's asking the Lord to forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Now, in the entire Lord's Prayer, all those lines, everything else is for the Lord to do. The only thing he asks us to do is to forgive. Now, when I came to that realization just recently, and when I realized that, I said, there's a reason the Lord's Prayer is a prayer that has been passed down from generation to generations for hundreds of years. I would say, unless you're Catholic, that's basically the main prayer that we are taught from childhood. That is the main prayer that is in the Bible that we are taught from childhood. And I think there's a reason for that. And I think it's really significant that there is only one line of the prayer. You could go, let's read it. Go ahead and read all the lines. There's only one line in the prayer that asks us to do anything. And the only thing that God asks us to do is to forgive. So I'll leave you with that tidbit, okay? Until next week, I hope that during this time you'll at least think about forgiving those who have wronged you, who have hurt you. Because when you choose to forgive, you're not only releasing them, but you're also releasing yourself. Okay, y'all, this is Dr. Dawn. Remember, you already have everything you need within you, and be the light that you want to see within the world.